I was 26 when my company hit $2 million in revenue. Not profit, no revenue. But for a kid who'd grown up watching his dad argue with debt collectors and his mom cry in the kitchen over unpaid utility bills, it was a milestone. A triumph. Something I wanted to share with them, celebrate with them. After all, I only started this business so they'd never have to feel that kind of fear again. It wasn't some tech startup or flashy app. It was pressure washing. Driveways. Sidewalks. Commercial signage. Anything people didn't want to clean themselves. I started with a Craigslist ad, a rented washer, and a beat-up Toyota. I did every job myself at first, sometimes working 12-hour shifts in 90-degree heat. But it grew. I hired 2 guys, then 5, then bought trucks, equipment, and office space. By year 3, I had contracts with property management firms and small city governments. Money started coming in faster than I could track it. I set up payroll for my parents. Got my dad a new car. Cleared their mortgage. My mom cried so hard when I handed her the title that I had to hold her shoulders to keep her from collapsing. My sister, Chloe, was another story. She was 3 years younger than me and had never held a job for more than 2 months. Every time something didn't go her way, it was someone else's fault. Fired from a boutique for being too creative. Kicked out of college because the professors hated her. She bounced around apartments like a ping pong ball, constantly borrowing money, constantly needing help. I never hated her. I just stopped expecting anything from her. One day, I took my parents out to dinner to celebrate another big deal, one that was going to push us past $2.5 million in projected revenue. I remember it clearly. Steakhouse, dim lighting, soft jazz. I was buzzing with excitement, ready to tell them I'd set aside equity in the company to secure their retirement. But before I could even say a word, my mother put her hand on mine. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "we've been thinking, and we did something we really believe is right." I furrowed my brow. "Okay." My dad cut in, unusually serious. "We talked to the lawyer. We transferred your company's shares to Chloe." I laughed. I actually laughed out loud, thinking it was a joke. But they just looked at me. "What?" My mom squeezed my hand. "She's really struggling. She's not like you. She can't just make money. You're so gifted, sweetheart. You'll bounce back." "Bounce back from what?" I asked, my voice cracking. "You mean you gave her ownership in the company I built?" "She needs it more than you," my dad said. And then he smirked. I swear to God, he actually smirked. "You'll be fine. You always land on your feet." That smirk broke something in me. They'd already signed the papers. Went behind my back. Used the fact that I'd registered the company under the family trust to bypass needing my signature. I'd set it up that way for tax benefits and liability protection, thinking it was smart. Thinking I was safe because, well, they were my family. "Is that so?" I said calmly. I pushed my chair back and stood up. "Thanks for dinner." That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I opened my laptop and logged into every back-end system the company used. QuickBooks, CRM, payroll, vehicle trackers, vendor portals, investment accounts. And I began withdrawing. Not just money. Influence. Access. Authority. You see, while my parents had the paperwork, the connections, the keys to the business name, everything else, every password, every system, every trusted client, that was me. By 4 a.m., I'd locked every non-essential user out. I canceled deals I knew Chloe couldn't handle. I pulled back marketing budgets. I scheduled internal audits. Then I contacted every one of my top clients directly and told them I was stepping away, that they'd be under new management. I didn't say why. I didn't badmouth anyone. I just told the truth. I was no longer in control. The fallout was immediate. By day 3, I started getting texts from my dad asking what was going on. Chloe left me 7 voicemails, crying in half of them and screaming in the rest. By day 5, I'd set up a new LLC. It was called Second Washington. Same services. New logo. I reached out to the top 5 clients I'd walked away from and told them I was starting fresh. 3 of them signed immediately. 2 said they'd follow me after the quarter ended. By the second week, I had 3 trucks under a new name, 2 of my best former employees on board, and the revenue from a brand that I built from scratch, once again, under my name only. I didn't take revenge. I just took back what was mine. But my parents weren't done. Neither was Chloe. And the next move they made proved they didn't just want the company out. They wanted to ruin me. I thought reclaiming my business life would bring peace. That once I proved they couldn't steal my future, they'd retreat in shame, maybe even apologize. I underestimated just how entitled my family had become and how far Chloe was willing to go when she realized she couldn't ride my success anymore. The first red flag came when my old vendors started backing out of my contracts. At first, I assumed it was confusion. Maybe they were getting calls from my former company and didn't know who to believe. But then one of them, a guy named Greg who'd worked with me for 2 years, sent me a screenshot of an email from Chloe. It was written like a cease and desist. Any collaboration with Second Wash LLC will be considered a violation of contract and subject to legal consequences. Please be advised this individual is under review for fraudulent activity and may not be authorized to conduct business. It was signed Chloe West, CEO. I called Greg. He answered on the second ring. "Hey man," he said, nervous. "Look, I just wanted to be transparent. I know you wouldn't do anything shady, but I've got a business to run too. I can't afford lawsuits." "I get it," I told him. "You're not the only one." Chloe had launched a smear campaign. I was getting flagged on review sites, my new trucks were being followed, and clients I'd had for years suddenly ghosted me without explanation. I even caught one of my old employees, someone I hadn't hired back, outside our new warehouse, taking pictures with her phone. That's when I realized they weren't just trying to win. They were trying to wipe me out. Still, I kept things clean. I didn't retaliate. I filed a cease and desist of my own, retained a lawyer, and documented everything. It was exhausting. Every step I took forward, Chloe tried to sabotage, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of watching me collapse. Then came the lawsuit. I'll never forget the moment I got served. A man in a windbreaker showed up outside my apartment with a thick envelope. I opened it and sat on the curb reading the first few lines. Plaintiffs, Chloe West and Westwash Holdings, hereby allege that the defendant, Caleb West, has unlawfully duplicated proprietary business models, stolen trade secrets, and committed corporate theft by recreating similar operations under a competing entity. They were suing me for stealing my own ideas, my own systems. I called my parents, desperate for even a sliver of sanity. My mother answered. "Hello. You're suing me," I said flatly. "I'm not," she said softly. "Chloe is. She's using the trust as leverage. You know she can't do this unless you sign off." She paused. "Sweetheart, we want her to have a chance. She's been struggling so much. This is her opportunity. To destroy me?" "No one's trying to destroy you," she said, almost defensive. "You're the one who walked away. You're making this ugly." I hung up. Something inside me broke again. Not like before. This time, it wasn't sadness. It was pure, focused rage. So I pivoted. If they wanted to turn this into war, fine. But I wasn't going to fight with words or lawsuits. I was going to do what I did best: build, outwork, outserve, outclass. And I had a weapon they didn't: reputation. I reached out to every employee who'd ever worked under me, even the ones who'd moved on. I posted job listings, not just for washers, but for managers, marketers, sales reps. I hired a social media manager and a PR firm. I launched a clean campaign. Second Wash, built from experience, powered by integrity. I posted before and after videos on Instagram, client testimonials, employee spotlights. I offered veteran discounts, senior rates, and loyalty perks. Within 2 months, my new company was not only afloat, it was thriving. Meanwhile, I heard whispers about Chloe's downfall, equipment going missing, payroll delays, Yelp reviews saying workers never showed up or damaged property. Clients weren't getting refunds. Some were threatening to file lawsuits of their own. And then, one morning, I got a call from someone unexpected. "Mr. West," a deep voice said. "My name's Darren Pierce. I'm a private investor. Your sister approached me 6 months ago about an expansion deal." I froze. "Okay. She's hemorrhaging cash. We're considering cutting our losses. But I've done my homework on you. Would you be open to a conversation?" A week later, I met Darren for coffee. Tall, confident, direct. We talked for an hour. By the end of it, he made me an offer. Take over Chloe's side of the company. Clean it up. Make it profitable. He'd buy her out if I could make it worth saving. I told him I'd think about it. That night, I got a voicemail from my dad. His voice was shaky. "Son, I think we made a mistake." And for the first time, I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt cold. Because it wasn't over yet. They still didn't understand what they'd done to me. But they would. Very soon. After that call from my dad, I didn't respond. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't trust myself to speak without burning every last bridge. For weeks, I ignored every text, call, and drop-in visit they tried. I focused on scaling Second Wash, on proving that I wasn't just capable, but unstoppable. The offer from Darren stayed in the back of my mind. Taking over Chloe's side of the company felt like poetic justice. But it also felt dirty. Like stepping into a pile of garbage I didn't create. And I wasn't sure I wanted to wear gloves for the rest of my career. Then one day, I got a message from someone I never expected to hear from. "Hi, Caleb. It's Lena. Can we talk?" Lena was Chloe's former best friend. They used to be inseparable until Chloe accused her of copying her personality and cut her off in dramatic fashion. Lena was smart, driven, and for some time, she'd worked with Chloe during the early phases of the original company, before I took over operations. We met at a quiet diner. She showed up with a laptop and a grim look. "She's hiding losses," Lena said bluntly. "Cooking the books. Faking contracts to look more profitable than she is." I blinked. "How do you know?" "She asked me to come back and help with admin work last month." I saw the files. "She doesn't realize I made copies." "What's your angle?" "I want to help you take back what's yours. And maybe, just maybe, watch her fall flat for once in her life." I stared at her, torn between caution and revenge. "Why now?" She smiled bitterly. "Because she tried to blame me for the mess. Again. She thinks she can ruin people and walk away clean." I leaned back, watching her. "If you're serious," I said finally, "you're going to need to testify." "I will. I'll give you everything." 2 days later, I sat with my attorney and went over Lena's evidence. The depth of Chloe's manipulation was even worse than I imagined. Fake invoices, ghost clients, unauthorized withdrawals. She'd spent nearly $180,000 in company funds on brand events, luxury vacations, and even plastic surgery. And my parents? They'd co-signed 2 of her loans. Their names were all over the documents. I had leverage now. Not just emotional or symbolic leverage, real, legal leverage. I called Darren. "I'll take the deal," I said. "But not to fix the company. I want to dissolve it. Absorb what's left into Second Washington." She walks away with nothing. Silence. "Then, savage," he said, chuckling. "But smart. I'll draw up the agreement." I signed it 3 days later. Chloe, predictably, exploded. I wasn't there when she found out. Darren delivered the news personally. But she sent me a flurry of texts afterward. "You snake. You think this makes you the bigger person? You ruined my life." I didn't reply. Not then. The real reckoning came a week later when the IRS came knocking. Turns out, Lena had tipped them off too. The audits began almost immediately. Chloe tried to throw my parents under the bus. My dad tried to claim ignorance. My mom begged me to step in and fix it. "Just talk to them," she pleaded over the phone. "Explain it was all a misunderstanding. They'll listen to you." "I already did explain," I said. "When you gave her my company, you made a choice. This is just the consequence. We were trying to keep the family together." "No," I said coldly. "You were trying to keep her from drowning, even if it meant tying me to her ankle." There was a pause. Then my mother whispered, "You've changed." I nodded, though she couldn't see me. "Yeah," I said. "I have." By the end of the month, Chloe's name was trending locally. Fraud, embezzlement, civil suits. Darren's firm released a press statement distancing themselves. Second Wash became a success story, the clean break from a tainted past. But even with everything I'd regained, something still lingered. A hollow spot. Not regret. Not guilt. But a kind of mourning. Not for the company, or the money, or even Chloe. For the version of my parents I thought I knew. And I had no idea just how deep that betrayal ran. Until I discovered what they did with the money they got from Chloe's fake loans. I found out by accident. I wasn't looking to uncover more secrets. I was trying to forget. To move on. But sometimes, the truth doesn't wait for an invitation. It breaks in, unannounced. I was sitting in my lawyer's office, going over the final filings for the company absorption. He handed me an envelope that had come from a bank in Florida, apparently, related to one of the shell companies Chloe had used for laundering funds. "I thought this was handled," I said. "It is," he replied, flipping open the flap. "But this isn't from her. It's a statement, account opened in your father's name. You might want to see this." I scanned the papers. $72,000 deposit. Then $14,000. Then $23,000. All within 4 months. Each transaction labeled vaguely, consulting, retainer, marketing services. All of it pulled directly from Chloe's fraudulent funds. Not even subtly. Just siphoned. "This can't be right," I said. My voice flat. I thought the same thing. But your father signed off on every transaction. He wasn't a passive bystander in this. He was benefiting. Actively. It hit me like a wave. While I was building, bleeding, sacrificing, he was cashing in. And not because he needed to. Not for bills or emergencies. He bought a boat. A 40-foot yacht named Legacy. I found it with one Google search, registered in his name, docked in Sarasota. There was even a photo on a boating forum, him grinning like a kid on Christmas, champagne in hand. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just stared. Because it was one thing to choose Chloe over me. To give away my company. But this was theft. He knew exactly what he was doing. I drove to their house that night. Not with a plan. Not with revenge in my heart. Just questions. They answered the door together, like some twisted united front. My mother looked tired. My father looked irritated. You can't just show up, he said. I know about the money, I said quietly. The boat. His face didn't change. You want me to give it back? He scoffed. Is that why you're here? No, I said. I want to hear it from you. Why? He laughed. Because we deserved something, Caleb. After everything we gave you. We raised you. We sacrificed for you. And this was payback? He stepped closer, eyes burning. This was balance. Chloe's a screw-up. Yeah, but she's your sister. And we've carried her long enough. It was your turn. You think I owe you my life? No, he snapped. We think you forgot where you came from. That was it. That was his justification. Not an apology. Not even shame. Just resentment. You want to talk about where I came from? I asked, stepping forward. I came from watching you scream at bill collectors. Watching mom clip coupons because we couldn't afford groceries. I built something so none of us had to live like that again. And you threw it away like it meant nothing. I turned to leave. My mother called after me, voice trembling. Caleb, please, just talk to us. Don't let this tear the family apart. I stopped, then looked back. You already did that, I said. The moment you sold your son for a boat and a fantasy. I walked away. And I didn't look back. Over the next year, Second Wash exploded. We expanded into 2 new states, hired over 30 people, and landed a 7-figure government contract. The media painted me as the self-made founder who overcame betrayal, a narrative I never corrected. Chloe eventually declared bankruptcy. My father sold the boat. My parents moved to a smaller house in another city. We haven't spoken since. But sometimes, I still think about it. About how love, real love, isn't proven by what people say when you're successful. It's proven by what they do when they think you're safe to exploit. And they showed me exactly who they were. I gave them everything. They chose someone else. So I took it all back. And I built a life that doesn't need their approval or their permission.